Welcome to the Astrology Show with your host, Kelly Fox. Each week, Kelly will give you access to the current transits that are a valuable tool which provide astrological information to help unlock the potential each of us has through our sun sign. Understanding the current planetary influences each week can help steer us in the right direction to make better informed choices. Sometimes, events in your life may seem completely random, but there is a pattern to the order of these events, one set in motion in part by you, and in part by the planets and stars in the sky and their influence on your life here on Earth. So if you're wondering what's going to happen in your week ahead, if you're going to get that promotion, move to a new city, or fall in love, tune in to the Astrology Show for guidance. It can help you anticipate problems before they occur, give you tools to cope with changes, and help you look forward to the wonderful days ahead. Kelly Fox is a professional astrologer and internet pioneer who launched astrology.com, one of the first and most successful astrology websites. Today, her passion lies with her new site, theastrologer.com, where she brings a modern-day approach to an ancient wisdom. Please join Kelly each week to learn more about how the planets can align for you.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the Astrology Show. I am your host and astrologer, Kelly Fox, and I am going to be talking about the planets this week. And tonight's show is dedicated to all you Scorpios out there because the sun is moving into Scorpio this week, where it will be until November 22nd. So welcome, Scorpio, as we move into the season of Scorpio. And we also have other planets in Scorpio, including the sun. We've got Mercury, planet of the mind, Venus, planet of love, and Jupiter, planet of expansion, all in Scorpio. So if you have any planets in Scorpio, pay attention to tonight's show and what the energy of Scorpio means for you. And if you don't know where your planets are, your natal planets at the time you were born, go to theastrologer.com/chartwheel to get a free chart wheel where you can follow along each week. On each week's show, I typically talk about where the planets are and what it means and how they may be affecting you. So with the sun in Scorpio for the next few weeks, this is a time for all of us to get in touch with our deeper and darker aspects of ourselves. We will not be interested in anything superficial, and many of us, especially if you have any planets in Scorpio, you will want to dive into the depths and uncover what's hidden beneath the surface. I feel like I should be going, whoa, when I talk about Scorpio, because there's a lot of mystery around this sign. I would have to say that Scorpio is one of the misunderstood, one of the most misunderstood signs of the zodiac. And so there's this whole lot of mystery around this sign. And so when the sun and these other planets are in Scorpio, it might be that we only want to reveal ourselves to those who have proven that they can be trusted. So a lot of us will have very intense feelings. Some of us might even be afraid that we're going to be scaring people away if they actually see how passionate and extreme we can be. But really, you know, in reality, we're probably just scared of being vulnerable. But this is not the time to hide emotions when the Sun, Mercury, Venus, and Jupiter are all in Scorpio. So it's all about wanting to have intimacy with someone else. Many of us will be longing to be intimate and close and to be able to be vulnerable and show our emotions with this energy of the Sun in Scorpio. And so also this week we have a full moon in Taurus. Now that full moon is happening, let me see my calendar. That full moon is happening Wednesday at 9:45 a.m. Pacific time and 12:45 p.m. Eastern time. And so the full moon will be occurring at 1 degree of Taurus. So that means that the sun is in Scorpio, along with Mercury, Venus, Jupiter, and the moon in Taurus. So that's a lot of very intense fixed energy. The first word that comes to mind when I think about these energies is compromise, because Taurus and Scorpio are fixed signs. So the fixed signs are all about sort of digging their heels in sometimes. So with the Taurus full moon, and I'll talk about that more later in the show, but it's very much about, monetary rewards for financial maneuvers might be happening. So this is the time to really focus on our finances and the future of our finances. If you stick to your instincts with that energy of all those Scorpio planets, this could definitely be a period of fulfillment where some of us could be seeing the benefits of any sort of financial strategies. So Scorpio. So when the sun is in Scorpio, which is October 23rd through November 22nd, what does that mean? And what does it mean specifically to be a Scorpio? Well, that's very complex. That's a very complex question. Now, Scorpio is symbolized by the scorpion. The other symbol of Scorpio is the phoenix rising from the ashes. And that's not very well known. Of course, Scorpio is a scorpion. That's pretty obvious. And, of course, when you think of the scorpion, it calls to mind that poisonous tail that can lash out and sting when its victims least expect it. But with the phoenix rising from the ashes, it's very much representative of many Scorpios transform. Their destiny this lifetime is about transformation. And so it means that many Scorpios go through many phases in their life. And so endings are a really big deal for this sign, and new beginnings as well. So it's like there's chapters of their life, there's phases, and usually what it takes Scorpio many times, or anybody that has planets in Scorpio can relate as well to what I'm saying, is that many times Scorpio has to hit the bottom before it can sort of bounce back up to the top. It's like Scorpio has to be dredged through the murk and the mud and the swamp until they can sort of rise back up. And so that's where you get the other symbol for Scorpio of the phoenix rising from the ashes. So the ashes of the things that have gone previously that might not have been so good, and then Scorpio will rise above it. But in some ways, it's like the energy of Scorpio needs to experience the depths of despair sometimes before they can bounce back up. So it's like there's something there. It's like there's some sort of darkness around Scorpio that in some ways they need to experience. Now, if you don't have any Scorpio planets, you probably think, what on earth is she talking about? But, if you have Scorpio planets, you can relate to what I'm saying. It's like the depths of despair. It's like you have to feel that intense emotion because Scorpio can be very extreme with a lot of things in its life. And so, with Scorpio, it's like it's an emotional sign. It's a water sign. It's ruled by Pluto. Pluto is Pluto is lord of the underworld, ruler of Hades. I mean, if that doesn't tell you enough, give you a bit of insight into Scorpio, then I don't know. So Scorpio is very much about, if it's upset or pushed into a corner, it can definitely lash out. So Scorpio is a very complex, passionate sign that acts in passion rather than thinking things through properly first, because Scorpio is a water sign, and I will talk about that a bit later on. But, it's a very passionate, either positively or negatively. It acts from emotion in a really big way. So as I said, Scorpio is a fixed water sign. It's ruled by both Mars and Pluto. So that's where a lot of that passionate intensity comes from. And so if you mix that in with emotions that run miles deep, and sometimes I think of Scorpio like a fathomless ocean, and of course there's stubbornness to match, well, there's the combination and that stinging tail, there's that combination of Scorpio and the intensity and the depth of this sign. And sometimes I think it's like I remember saying at one stage, who needs enemies when you can have friends like Scorpio? I think I heard that somewhere, or I'm not going to take credit for that quote, but it's sort of like, yeah, who needs enemies when you can have Scorpio as a friend? That's sort of probably where the terminology frenemy comes from. So, with all those things going on, it's no wonder that Scorpio is incredibly intense. There are just so many things going on under the surface. It's amazing that any Scorpio can seem so put together. But, like with all that passion and intensity, that just really does make for a highly compelling personality. And Scorpio is also one of the sexiest signs of the zodiac. And so, it's very magnetic, it's brave, but it can be very possessive and vengeful when given the proper motivation. And as I said, Scorpios can make formidable enemies. And, of course, they're only slightly less intimidating as friends. And they do love to control their surroundings and, of course, the people around them. Control is definitely a key word for Scorpio. Others might see it as manipulation, but really it does come from a good place, and that's the drive to connect, to know as deeply as they want to be known, to connect with those that they care about, as deeply and as intensely as possible. And sometimes, with that sort of depth of emotion, it's hard to not be seen as controlling or manipulative. But really it's that connection that they crave, and intimacy and loyalty and trust. They're really big keywords for Scorpio. And I always have said never cross a Scorpio, never double cross a Scorpio especially, because revenge is one of those keywords as well. So as I said, Scorpio has two ruling planets, Mars and Pluto. So Mars is the ancient ruler and Pluto is the modern day ruler. Mars also rules Aries, and Scorpio is the only sign that is ruled by Pluto. So with Mars, if you think about it, Mars is the passion planet. It's the warrior planet, and it's very much Mars rules your sex drive, your propensity for irritation, your urge to compete and succeed. All these things fall within Mars's realm. And it does affect our attitudes towards everything from team sports to dating, to how you argue with a friend, to how you go after promotion at work. Mars is about your willpower, whether you can motivate yourself to do what needs to be done or whether you need an extra push from the outside. So, ambitions are a really big part of Mars's influence in our lives. So it's sort of like, how do we put our energy to use? So it's very much about, depending on what sign Mars is in, is very much about how we're motivated and how we use our energy or how we conserve our energy. So, of course, Mars rules Scorpio and it also rules Aries. So if you have Mars in Scorpio or Mars in Aries, it's very strongly placed. And so this amplifies everything that I just said that Mars is about. So Mars is very much about, it's also about leadership and taking charge and, do we follow someone else's lead or are we the leader? This sort of falls in the realm of Mars and then hence Scorpio, because Mars is the ruler of Scorpio. So with Pluto, the modern day ruler and the current ruler of Scorpio, which means once Pluto was discovered in 1930, it then was assigned Scorpio as its sign. So, as I said, Pluto is the most intense planet, even though it's the furthest away. And yes, it is still a planet, according to astrologers. Even though Pluto is the furthest away, well, that's for good reason, because it is the most intense planetary energy that we have in our solar system. So it's a very, very intense energy. Its mythology is the ruler of Hades. It wears an invisible helmet. So that's why the words control and manipulation are sort of thrown in there with Pluto and Scorpio. So Pluto has an energy that is subtle at times, but powerful, and as powerful as mind control. So this is often, Pluto is often referred to the planet of power, because it seeks to control and influence on a grand scale. And it's always, I always say with this sort of energy, it's like, who's pulling the strings behind the curtain? Like the Wizard of Oz. It's like something's going on behind the curtain. What is it? We can't always see it, but something's pulling the strings. So Pluto is all about the hidden side of existence. So when you couple that with the sign that it rules of Scorpio, it's very much about, these things are intertwined. It's also, Scorpio is also connected to the 8th house. So Scorpio's connections to Mars, Pluto, and the 8th house. And of course being a water sign. So, Pluto is all about the hidden side of existence, its secrets, its affairs, behind the scenes manipulations and so on. But it's about power. So that's either positive or negative. A lot of times it's negative. And powerful experiences, such as sexuality, death, destruction, regeneration. These keywords all fall within Pluto's realm. Also powerful urges, like will, control, obsession, and of course, again, sex. So in order to understand Pluto's influence in your life, it's sort of like, think about a time when you were utterly overtaken by something or someone. And it's like obsession, or thinking about the object of your desires, if it was something to do with a relationship. And on that note, I think it is a good time to take a break. So stay tuned and I will continue with Scorpio right after the break.
Conscious media for conscious minds. OMTimes.
OMTimes magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organisation, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. Connect at OMTimes.com. OMTimes, creating a more conscious lifestyle.
Hello, I'm Sandy Sedgbeer, host of OMTimes Magazine's flagship radio show, What is Going On. My passion is sifting through information, research, and innovations from New Thought teachers, speakers, and researchers pushing back the boundaries of what we know about life, energy, metaphysics, and the universe. I love shifting perceptions about who we are, why we're here, and how quickly impossible becomes normal when we open our minds, expand our awareness, and accept that the only limits that exist are those we place upon ourselves. So if you're the kind of forward-thinking, eager investigator of what lies beyond the current reality that most perceive, why not make a date to come play with me in the field of possibilities at 4 p.m. Pacific Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Time every Thursday, and together we can discover what's really going on.
Hi, this is New Age Grammy winner Paul Avgerinos. Thanks for listening to OMTimes Radio, and please support my peaceful healing music with a purchase at iTunes, Amazon, or wherever you shop for fine music. Just put my name into the search engine, Paul Avgerinos. A, V like Victor, G like George, E-R-I-N-O-S. You can also visit me at roundskymusic.com. Thanks for listening, and I'm wishing you the brightest of blessings.
Imagine being fired because of who you love. Imagine being denied medical treatment because of who you marry. Imagine being evicted because of who you are. Millions of Americans don't have to imagine this. They have to live it. Because in 31 states, it's legal to discriminate against LGBT people. Get the facts at beyondido.org. Brought to you by the Gill Foundation and the Ad Council.
Hi there, welcome back to the Astrology Show. I am your host and astrologer Kelly Fox, talking about Scorpio, everything Scorpio, what it means to be Scorpio, what we can expect during the next few weeks when the Sun, Mercury, Venus and Jupiter are all in Scorpio. So just before the break, I was talking about the planetary rulers of Scorpio, Mars and Pluto. And Pluto being very, very extreme and intense as the modern day ruler of Scorpio. So Pluto is all about transformation, but that word always, I do use it a lot in my readings, but sometimes I have to sort of clarify that, because transformation, in my mind at least, means something really great and positive, which ultimately it is. But it's like what it takes to get to that point is not so light and fluffy. It's very much about, forced change, that sometimes we have to hit the bottom before we can sort of come back up to the top again. And so this is all about Scorpio, being connected to Pluto and the 8th house and Mars, it being a water sign. So it's all about emotion. And sometimes, with this sort of energy, not just Scorpio Sun people, but anybody that has planets in Scorpio, it could be very much about self-destruction. Or even addiction, but self-destruction. Sometimes Scorpio would rather self-destruct than let someone win or somebody have control over them. So it's more about, it's the ultimate sort of, it's the ultimate winning in some ways, but it's always about emotions. So, the energy of Pluto is all about the power to create or to destroy. And Pluto is extremes. It's one extreme or the other. And usually, when everything's great, it's great. And when it's not, it's really, really not when it comes to this realm. Now, as I said, that Scorpio is a water sign. And so the thing that every time I think of Scorpio being a water sign, I always think still waters run deep. So that perfectly describes the emotional depths of Scorpio, but also Cancer and Pisces, the other two water signs. So the water signs are born nurturers. They're very sensitive to fluctuations in their environment, as well as within the people they love. So especially, I wouldn't say especially Scorpio, I would say actually all three water signs. It's like, if you have any planets in those signs, it's like you're responding to your loved one's needs. But, a lot of the time, anybody that has planets in water signs can veer into oversensitivity. So that makes it hard for them to reach out to other people, when the water signs are in this mode. And so with Cancer, they tend to retreat into their shell when things get tough. They do have tremendous emotional depth, but doesn't always know how to talk about their feelings, even though they are the sign of feelings. Scorpio tends to rely less on direct methods. They're not very direct when it comes to their emotions, like verbally, I'm saying. But, really sometimes they can be this tidal wave of emotion, and they're well known for their tendency towards vengefulness and passive-aggressive behavior when they're feeling hurt. So anybody that has any planets in Scorpio, you may be able to relate, or your partner may be able to relate to what I'm saying with this. And then, of course, you have Pisces, the final sign of the zodiac, the final water sign. They're the ones that know best how to sort of transcend their own needs and feelings in order to reach out to someone else who may be hurting or need help. So with Pisces, they want to help everyone, to their own detriment. So that's the thing with the water signs, and Scorpio, of course, is that it's like they give up a part of themselves, to connect, because it's all about connecting with the people they care about. So it's always about finding a balance. And so the water signs do tend to gravitate towards fields that can draw, that nurturing emotional sensitivity out in them. And so Scorpio is also a fixed sign. So fixed signs, and that's Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius, they tend to resist change unless it's for a very, very good reason. So, depending on how many fixed signs or fixed planets you have in your chart, will depend on how stubborn you may be at times. So it's very much about, with fixed signs, though, they do like to choose a course of action and just stick with it. So there's no changing their mind or turning them around, especially people with lots of fixed energy in their charts. They're definitely not wishy-washy. Scorpio is definitely not wishy-washy, and, the fixed signs are known as the most powerful signs of the zodiac. So, to others, this quality of the fixed nature of the fixed signs, including Scorpio, it may come across as stubbornness, but really that is a strength. It's sort of like, in astrology, what it teaches is that there are positives and not so positives to all the energies that go on within the zodiac and within the planets. So the fixed signs, they do have a natural dedication and discipline that's needed to see a project through to the end. So, maybe some other signs might abandon something midstream. A fixed sign will follow it through to the very end. So that's really the nature of Scorpio as well. So, they don't like to deviate from the plan, which can be a good thing and a bad thing. And sometimes with Scorpio, the plan might not be great and it might actually be detrimental, but they will stick to it anyway, regardless. Sort of hold on to the bitter end. So this is the energy or the nature of the fixed signs. So what can we expect the next few weeks when the sun is in Scorpio? How can we sort of make use of this very intense and sometimes extreme energy? So, one way, as I said in the beginning, is to sort of get in touch with our deeper and darker aspects of ourselves. We're not interested in anything superficial, light or fluffy. We want to just dive into the depths and uncover what's hidden beneath the surface, or dig things up, especially at this time with love planet Venus is retrograde in Scorpio. So it's very much about, maybe things coming up that have been hidden from the past to do with love and money, and it's things that might have been mysterious previously. Now is the time to sort of get to the bottom of something, especially Jupiter in Scorpio is sort of like getting to the truth, or getting to the heart of the matter, which hasn't been revealed previously. And with love planet Venus retrograde in Scorpio and Jupiter planet of expansion in Scorpio, and of course the Sun and Mercury, this is the time to really sort of have those conversations that we might have been avoiding within our relationships, and really bring things up that might not have been discussed or might not have sort of seen the light of day before. So this is a really good energy when, 4 planets in Scorpio. It's like many of us will have the desire to explore the depths and to use our perceptions or our intuition, because, the water signs, Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces, are very much about instinct and intuition and perception. So this is, with 4 planets in Scorpio at the moment, it's very much about, tapping into our intuitive powers to uncover hidden motivations, even psychology or even astrology. It's a good time to sort of delve into those topics with this very intense Scorpion energy that we have. Investigation and research at this time is a good use of the Scorpio energy. And so, many of us will have focus and willpower using, the positives of Scorpio so we can see any project through to its completion. That might mean digging and researching until we get to the core or the root of the issue. And as I said, with Jupiter in Scorpio at this time, it's actually coming to an end. Next month, Jupiter will be moving into Sagittarius. So it's sort of like many of us might be wrapping up, like the pursuit of truth or something coming about. And I've mentioned many times this year, particularly early on in the year, a year ago, last October, we had Jupiter moving into Scorpio, and that's when the hashtag #MeToo movement started to see the light of day in the media. So now we can look to the media again as Jupiter, the planet of truth, and now that it's in Scorpio, it's like getting to the bottom of the truth. We might see certain issues that came about, a year ago, starting to sort of move into the next cycle, maybe even getting wrapped up or completed. But really it's sort of like with all this Scorpio energy, it's very much about getting to the truth of something or digging until we find out what's really going on. So, with the Scorpio sun, we also have, the potential to heal from old wounds, especially with this love planet Venus, it's retrograde, and to transform. That's one of the Pluto keywords, the ruler of Scorpio, to transform a situation that might have become stagnant. So, we can renew and reinvigorate around our relationships and really have these very intense, deep and meaningful conversations as well. So the key here is to be able to let go of the past, and to release what we've outgrown. And forgiveness, that seems to be a word that's been coming up lately, is like forgiveness. And, not being afraid to be vulnerable or to really go deep with somebody else. And trust is a really big key word at this time as well. And don't be afraid of our own feelings. It might scare some people away, but maybe not others. It's like, let's see how passionate and extreme we can be, all sort of rolled into one. And if you hide your emotions at this time, you'll miss out on the intimacy that maybe you might be longing for with this sort of energy. And if you risk revealing yourself to a loved one or a partner or somebody else in your life, you can deepen and strengthen bonds at this time, especially, with a significant other. So it's like many of us will have the desire, which is another keyword for Scorpio and the 8th house and Pluto. So we'll have this desire to explore the depths and use our intuitive powers to uncover any sort of hidden motivations. So, we'll have the focus and willpower, to complete anything that we set our mind to at this time. So it's sort of like we've got a relentless pursuit of the truth, and which of course is more so with Jupiter in Scorpio at this time. So the aspects that the sun will be making while it is in Scorpio, there will be a few. So for the next few weeks, it's basically as soon as the sun that moves into Scorpio, which will be tomorrow at 4:23 a.m. Pacific time and 7:23 a.m. Eastern time, is when the sun moves into Scorpio, and then almost within 2 hours later, it then forms an opposition to Uranus. So, of course, this is part of the full moon energy that's going on Wednesday. So, and I'll talk about the full moon soon. But, the sun, as soon as it moves into Scorpio, it forms this immediate opposition to Uranus. And so this week it's very much about, there could be some sort of high-strung, nervous quality to this full moon, and Uranus is radical and it's unpredictable. So it's like we shouldn't really expect or anticipate or assume anything from others. There could be some confrontations around this week with this full moon on Wednesday. confrontations or standoffs or ruffled feathers, especially because there's so much fixed energy, and fixed energy is like people digging their heels in. People wanting to be rebellious or defiant because of the involvement of Uranus with this full moon. Things might happen quickly and dramatically with Sun opposite Uranus this week. So just things coming about unexpected, and we shouldn't rely on the status quo because something is going to change. And then on Friday, we have this incredible Sun conjunct Venus energy, which is also part of this week's full moon energy. Very, very nice. Sun conjunct Venus. It's a perfect time to reach out to others. And if that's social networking or batting your eyelashes at someone you're attracted to, or mending fences with other people, it sort of guarantees success. This is a very, very favorable aspect, according to astrologers. So it's like with the Sun conjunct Venus, even though Venus is retrograde, it doesn't matter. The Sun is sitting right next to Venus from our perspective here on Earth. So this is about, so it's like a gentle urge to come together and to find common ground, which will help with this very intense, uncompromising energy of the full moon that we have on Wednesday. So it's like we all sort of want to get along. It's a nice time to celebrate, go out with friends, make new friends, enjoy being with someone else, someone we love, because Venus is the planet of love and money. So it's like, let's share our feelings, our emotion, our affection. It's a very affectionate energy. It's a good time for any sort of creative pursuits, and also enhancing our appearance when the Sun comes together with Venus. And remember, beauty is only skin deep, so we have to develop our inner beauty as well as our outer beauty. And then on the 27th, which is Saturday, we also have the Sun sextile Saturn, which again is part of the energy of this week's Taurus full moon. So it's very much about a sextile is when two or more planets are about 60 degrees apart. And actually, yes, we will take a break, so stay tuned, and I will continue with this week's energy, so stay tuned.
The Real Conscious Connection. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Ascending Hearts is no ordinary dating site, but a spiritual dating site with a purpose, to link you with your soulmate. We engineer the serendipity so you can trust that you will attune with someone that has the same matching vibration as you. Ascending Hearts, the conscious dating site for the spiritually aware. Try Ascending Hearts for free. AscendingHearts.com.
Looking for inspiration?
Want to be inspired?
Not sure where to go?
Find Mark and Kim every Wednesdays at 3 p.m. Eastern on Inspired Living.
Topics will elevate consciousness and range from metaphysics to the human and social experience and all things spiritual.
Welcome to an inspired community that offers support, encouragement, and new ways of thinking. You are the inspired and the inspiration.
Hi, this is recording artist and composer Yuval Ran, inviting you to a voyage through the chakras, a new double album of guided meditations to transform your life, a sublime musical medicine for nourishing inner peace and reaching to your higher virtues. Get it now at metamindfulnessmusic.com, METTA mindfulnessmusic.com.
I can't believe he found them.
He seems sorry.
We very clearly told him not to look up there.
I'm honestly impressed that he was able to do it.
Right? But did he balance on that big chair?
Yeah, I mean, I guess he'll just know what his gifts are this year.
I really thought we had hidden them well.
If they can find their presents, they can find a gun.
911, what is your emergency?
Every day, 8 kids and teens are unintentionally killed or injured by loaded and unlocked guns. Learn how to make your home safer at endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and End Family Fire.
Hi there. Welcome back to the Astrology Show. I am your host and astrologer, Kelly Fox, talking all things Scorpio, and I'm going to launch right into it, Scorpio compatibility. So I'm going to go through how Scorpio is compatible with each sign of the zodiac. So Scorpio and Aries, you're both ruled by Mars, as I mentioned before. So this is no sweet, restful match. So Mars, of course, is the planet of passion, which, of course, rules your relationship. So your intensity is white hot, and so you're united by a common goal, and you work together amazingly well. But when your connection is challenged, watch out, because Scorpio's waters run very, very deep, and jealousy could become an issue between you, which could start some major battles. Scorpio and Taurus, when you two connect, it can be X-rated or it can be like the wildest, worst tempest, and you're caught right in the middle. But either way, it's fundamental. Earth and water together, because, of course, Taurus is earth, Scorpio is water. So together you make for a powerful force, and you're incredibly both strong-willed, and you probably won't be able to resist power plays. You'll have a strong bond that's hard to break but expects some discord. Scorpio, Gemini, well, you have such different natures, but you'll find it hard to meet on common ground. But there is a karmic connection between you, which you will sense in an immediate and deep attraction to one another. So Gemini, your light, airy, detached nature is quite the opposite of Scorpio's still, deep and intense waters. This could make an interesting combination, and I'm just putting that nicely. You could learn from each other, or you could just go your separate ways. But either way, there's a karmic learning there to be had. Scorpio and Cancer, well, you two make a really, really great combination. You're both water signs, which mean you're capable of incredible depths of emotion. And, of course, Scorpio is one of the few signs that can actually provide Cancer the emotional security and connectedness that the crab really thrives on. So this is really important to both of you. And so you both have hard shells that are difficult to penetrate. But you understand one another well enough to give each other the sanctuary you both crave. Scorpio and Leo. Now, this is an interesting match because you're both fixed signs, and I sense a lot of potential for friction. But what you do have in common is your stubbornness and your twin desires for control. So unless there are plenty of other planetary influences at work in your chart, a casual connection may work better than anything long-term, as problems could begin when your possessive, willful natures come to the fore. And Leo, I hate to tell you this, but Scorpio will always have the last word. Ouch. Scorpio and Virgo, as long as you two are getting along well, you make a great team. You balance one another out, Scorpio's intensity and Virgo's level-headedness. Virgo, you can help Scorpio tend to the details in life, and Scorpio, you can help Virgo grow bolder and less reserved. But these differences in nature can also be a source of conflict that may not be resolved easily, because Virgo can be quite critical when things aren't going well, which in turn makes Scorpio resentful and prone to lashing out. Scorpio and Libra, this is an interesting combo. At first glance, it doesn't seem like the best fit, but on looking closer, you two might share an understanding that could be a good foundation for a relationship. You can be both very looking for a bond or a commonality or an attachment. Scorpio even more so than Libra. That might be the only source of trouble between you. Scorpio's fits of temper, jealousy, and other emotional extremes could scare away the harmony, loving, flirtatious Libra. Scorpio and Scorpio, wow, what a great match, but really intense. Friendship and loyalty are your foundation, and you share a deep understanding. You both tend towards jealousy and obsession in relationships, which could actually work. Once made, your connection is deep, strong, and passionate, and you won't want to break that bond. You both want emotional security, and you will give that to each other, but you're not afraid to plumb the depths of your emotions, positive and negative, but also expect to make up famously. Scorpio and Sagittarius, you two are very different. You may forge a friendship as you both possess adventurous, courageous souls, and you love intensity of experience. But Scorpio, you are a lover at heart, seeking connection and security, while Sagittarius is an explorer who seeks nothing so much as freedom and knowledge. So Sagittarius may unintentionally provoke Scorpio's passionate and jealous nature. You'll connect best when there is no expectation of dependency between you. Scorpio and Capricorn, you two make such a good team. There's a lot of admiration and respect between you, and you're quite similar in your ambitions, security-seeking natures. You share some fundamental values that strengthen your connection. You do share some negative traits as well, like controlling natures, rigid thinking, and Scorpio, you're more emotionally intense, while Capricorn tends towards aloofness. But when working together towards a common goal, you're definitely unbeatable. Scorpio and Aquarius, your connection could be similar to air and water battling during a thunderstorm. The problem is you're both stubborn and you both want it your own way. So Scorpio, when you run up against a wall of opposing will, you tend to get emotionally manipulative, not to mention sensitive. But Aquarius, your approach is intellectual. You'll be turned off by all that emotional intensity. Yours will definitely be a battle of wills as Scorpio tries to bond and Aquarius tries to resist. And finally, Scorpio and Pisces, you two truly understand one another's emotional depths. Your connection is fluid and intuitive, and lots of times you feel as if you can sense the other's thoughts. You communicate on lots of levels, not just verbally. And Pisces, you won't mind Scorpio's possessive nature or intensity. You understand that it comes from a deep desire to connect, which is a drive that you both share. Both of you are romantic, sensitive, and responsive, and you'll be overwhelmed by the connection you share. Next up, we have the full moon in Taurus. So that's the big news of the week. Full moon in Taurus, so that's happening on Wednesday at 9:45 a.m. Pacific and 12:45 p.m. Eastern. So this full moon involves an opposition to Venus and a trine to Saturn and a conjunction to Uranus, which I covered before the break. So I don't think I mentioned, though, the full moon opposing Venus. So this is really interesting because it all sort of ties in. Everything's about relationships this week. But just be careful because some people might be feeling oversensitive, taking offense where none was intended. And there might be a strong tendency to project our feelings onto others, particularly those who we feel closest to. Memories surface that inhibit our coming together with others, and unexpressed emotional content affects the way that we see and relate to other people. So creative energies are heightened at this time, though. So perhaps the best course of action is to focus on that aspect and try to limit the interpersonal contact until the influence is over. So, but it does mean that the Sun and Venus are conjunct, which actually is great for relationships and what I did mention before. So it's definitely a week for relationships. Now, the full moon in Taurus is forming a really nice trine to Saturn in Capricorn. So this is an excellent influence for getting a lot of work done, things that we've sort of been putting off. Now is the time to do it. There's a really good sense of stability, practicality that keeps us focused and on task and productive. And so it's a good time to sort of make long-term business plans. We have good judgment. We're mapping out our goals, and a path toward achieving them will provide a really good guide in the weeks to come. And also the full moon is conjunct Uranus in Taurus. So anything goes with this influence because Uranus is so unpredictable. People might be a little bit erratic. And so some people are likely to take some pretty surprising, unpredictable actions. It's a very quirky sort of energy, which sort of goes against what I just said about everybody sort of like focused and serious with the moon connecting to Saturn. And then on the other hand, you've got this unpredictable energy, risk-taking energy, but it is quite refreshing. So it's sort of like the old comes together with the new, with Saturn and Uranus being involved with this full moon. Some people might be really disconnected or detached with this type of energy, but really there's a lot of sort of innovation coming together with tried and true methods. The other planetary influences this week, I've got a Mercury sextile Pluto, which is really great for any sort of intellectual pursuits. We're very keenly observant with this influence. We're not missing any sort of details. And it's sort of like even mysteries appeal to us with all this sort of Scorpio energy going on. And then, of course, Wednesday we've got Venus sextile Saturn, which is part of the full moon energy. So it's very much about, we can get a lot of stuff done. Work and labour are a good focus for this type of energy. And so our affections might be really strong. We're thinking about the future. We're planning, we've got long-term plans for the future. When it comes to love and money, it's a great time to start a savings account and be on the lookout for sort of earning opportunities and other ways to make money, because it's a very good financial and work-related energy. And now for your weekly horoscope based off all of that is going on this week. Now, the full moon in Taurus is really connecting into a lot of other planets and making some really nice aspects where, as I said, tried and true methods come together with sort of brilliant innovation. So, affairs of the heart get a really good boost from the full moon energy, and particularly the Sun-Venus conjunction in Scorpio on Friday. And then, of course, the full moon in Taurus really is a perfect moment to let go of any sort of negative emotions. It's all about forgiveness, particularly around our relationships. So if you're in Aries, you don't have to be a pioneer all the time. Even the Ram is allowed some safe time within a comfort zone, and that is definitely this week. So be sure to relax, chill out, enjoy more of what makes you feel good. And it is okay to have some downtime sometimes. If you're a Taurus, with your heart on your sleeve, you may feel quite exposed or vulnerable this week. The full moon in your sign brings you dignity and courage, so stand tall and don't be afraid to show your emotions. If you're a Gemini, too many people and too much noise may irritate you this week, so retreat and enjoy some time with your own company. It is a thoughtful period of time and good for making sense of imagery in your dreams or the messages from your subconscious, but be sure to pay attention to your intuition. If you are a Cancer, you're one of the Zodiac's nurturers, and this week your caring skills will be in great demand. Whether you're looking after your own family or even helping someone else, personally or professionally, you are doing an absolutely fantastic job, so keep it up. If you are a Leo, the spotlight is on you, as it usually is, as the full moon shines from your status and career zone. You do like the attention, but it's important that you don't promise or overpromise what you cannot deliver. Show off your leadership skills, but do so with integrity, honesty, and humility. If you are a Virgo, you're naturally cautious and always a planner. So your desire this week to do something reckless is rather out of character and out of the ordinary. However, a walk on the wild side will do you the power of good. So go ahead, take a leap into the unknown. Libra, what do you owe? No, not financially, but emotionally or spiritually. Perhaps make an effort this week to repay the kindness or trust of others. You're very keen on equality and fairness. These are keywords of your sign. So make sure that you have settled these important debts. Scorpio, take time to truly listen to and hear your partner, and don't just assume that you know what they're saying. The full moon shines from your love zone, encouraging you to strengthen and deepen your relationship on a spiritual level. Sagittarius, if you're not happy with something in your life, use the full moon's energies to drive change. You are a fire sign after all. Fire signs get stuff done. And it all starts with your intent. So choose to focus on something which will improve your physical, emotional, or mental well-being, and just know you can make it happen. Capricorn, let your creative side loose and indulge in arts, crafts, drama, or music. Creative visualization can be a useful problem solver at work, while fun activities at home can help to create beautiful memories for you and your family. Aquarius, the full moon asks that you focus your attention on your home and family, regardless of how busy you may be at work. So make your loved ones and your home and property the focus. Pour your love and energy into them and manifest the stability you seek. And finally, Pisces, all kinds of minor errands and issues take up your time, but it's important that you do tie up loose ends while the full moon shines. Focus on finishing what has been started, clear the decks, so that fresh beginnings have space to emerge. And for you, Pisces, these 4 planets in Scorpio and all this Scorpio energy, the Taurus full moon, it's a very, very nice time for you to really incorporate all of these energies because, you know, Scorpio is a fellow water sign, Cancer and Pisces as well. And so with all this watery energy being grounded by a Taurus full moon, it really helps to sort of see the big picture and make long-term plans. So this week we have a full moon in Taurus, and the full moon is very much connected to a lot of other planetary activities and planetary connections. And so with the full moon in Taurus, it's very much about finances. It's what's important to us, you know, from a sensual point of view, using our senses this week, all our senses, the touch and feel, smell, taste, etc. And so, of course, engaging our sixth sense at all times. So the full moon is happening, it's in Taurus at 9:45 a.m. Pacific, 12:45 p.m. Eastern Time, 1 degree Taurus, and the full moon opposite Venus, trine Saturn, and conjunct Uranus. So that's it from me. Thank you for joining me. I'm your host and astrologer, Kelly Fox. This is The Astrology Show. Wishing you a great week, and be sure to tune in next week.